Hello. Normally this field course is just 1 week long, but it's a really packed week and we are often working for 8 or 10 hours a day. So since this is an online course, I decided to stretch it out to 2 weeks. I'm not adding more material. In fact, we'll be doing a bit less than we would be doing in person. But by stretching it out, it allows you to have a little bit more space to breathe and a little bit of time to work through the material and to take the time to learn the things. For this first week, I'm expecting you to work mostly independently. You're welcome to communicate and work together with your classmates, but I essentially have 4 modules on the Canvas site for you to work through. And these are essentially background information that you'll need to understand and know and be able to use for week 2 of the course. The first module that I suggest that you work on is the plant and tree identification module. And the reason I suggest that first is that's something you're probably going to need to be working on through the whole week, because there's a lot of plants and a lot of trees for you to learn to identify and learn the characteristics of. Unfortunately, it's a lot easier to learn plants when you can actually see them and touch them. Fortunately, I have previously recorded a large library of videos for some of the important understory plant species that we have here. So those should be really helpful to help you learn the characteristics and to identify those plants. For trees, we have a number of online resources, and I'm going to try to get a few videos of trees uploaded too. I'm running a little bit short on time, so I'm not sure quite how much I'll be able to get to. But take the time to learn those tree species and those plant species. And when you're working through these modules, there aren't specific assignments for you, but you will be expected to make entries for each activity in your field notebook. And I'll give you a bit more information on the Canvas site about your field notebook. But there are also some questions in the modules, and you'll be asked to write the answers to those in your field notebook. So that's what you'll be responsible for this week. The second module is about soil science. Hopefully most of you have taken a soil science course in China. Soils, the classification system is a bit different in Canada than it is in China, and there might be some things that we're focusing on here that are new to you. So take the time to go through those soils modules as well, because learning about soils and being able to describe and understand the soils is a really important part of forestry. The third module is about BEC, the Biogeoclimatic Ecosystem Classification System. This is the ecosystem classification system that we use in British Columbia. Most of you have taken an online course or in-person course with me already where we've covered quite a bit of the BEC system, but the BEC system is really complex, and I know I had to engage with it a number of times before everything started making sense, and I know it's the same for students as well. So even if you've learned a bit about BEC with me before, please go through that material and take the time to learn it and refresh your memory. If you're new to the BEC system, you're going to need to spend a bit more time with that, and it might seem a bit confusing, so don't be afraid to ask me questions. You can post questions in the discussion forum on the Canvas site. I'm really happy to answer them. I know often students feel a little bit reluctant to ask questions, but please do, because if you have a question, it's likely that another classmate also has that question. So if you post that on the discussion forum, I can answer that question and everyone can benefit from that answer. So that's 3 modules: plants, soils, and the BEC system. And then lastly, I have a module on forest measurements for you to work through. This one is a little bit shorter. It's basically explaining some of the basic tools that we use in forestry and how to use those tools. When you get to UBC, you'll be able to actually use those tools. In the meantime, if you can at least see the tools, see how they're used, and understand how they work, then when I'm using the tools for you in these videos, hopefully things will make a little bit more sense for you. So I don't know exactly how long it will take each individual person to work through these materials, but I guess if you work on them a little bit each day, maybe 2 to 3 hours a day should be enough. Maybe a little bit less if you're more familiar with the materials. Some of you may want to spend a fair amount of time on the plants in particular, so I'd suggest studying the plants a little bit each day to try to learn those, because that's a lot of information. All right, and then in the second week, as I mentioned, we'll be doing things together on a daily basis and working together in teams. But I'll get to that more the following week when we're ready to get started with that. All right, thank you.